How's it going, everyone? Evan from Battlehawk Armory. We are out here at the range once again. Today, we've got something very, very exciting, very, very special to bring to all of you, which is Evan. Evan, who are you?
Evan from Exigent, so the horrific online presence, making fun of people on Reddit, making all the comments on Instagram and everything, but suppressor manufacturer, doing additive 3D printed suppressors and turning it up in the market right now. So bringing an upper built under budget suppressor.
Exigent Defense suppressors, right? They have been on fire. We have been super impressed with the ones that we've had, the Vanish 556 and the FireTeam556, and they have just been extreme performers for us. The sound quality is incredible. The versatility, weight, depending on if you're looking for the lightweight titanium or the extreme durability of that 718 Inconel FireTeam. The price point on your product is incredible. But we don't just have the FireTeam and the Vanish out here today. We've got tons of stuff, as you can see. So why don't you just run us through some of the things that we have out here today and what you're actually doing with designing these particular suppressors, Evan.
Heck yeah. So you mentioned the Vanish, you mentioned the FireTeam. FireTeam's obviously our B&T collaboration can, working with Big Swiss up there. So great group up there, great company to work with. Difference in the materials, difference in the sizes, kind of different applications. The way our suppressors are designed are caliber specific, platform specific, and really harp on that with people that, you go buy that big overboard, do all can, it doesn't do a great job on
Absolutely
anything.
not.
So with the no tax stamp or no $200 tax anymore, suppressors more common. People are suppressing all their rifles. Get specific. So get down to the minutia of it, get down to, okay, what's my barrel length on this? What platform am I using? Am I using a direct impingement? Am I using direct blowback? Am I using, a piston system? And when you start to dial that in, you get much better performance, much better sound performance, gas evacuation, everything on that. And we really try to dial our stuff in specifically for SBRs. So our 556 cans, the FireTeam was designed around the Mark 18, 10.3 barrel, 70 thou gas port. That is what we started with. And the thought process was most violent gas system out there, use that and start moving your way forward. So the suppressors have just performed, I hate, it sounds narcissistic, but phenomenally.
Yeah.
So our FireTeam, a very quiet can, ultra durable, full auto rated, Inconel 718, like you said. So very low flash. And honestly, I'd put our FireTeam up against a Surefire in terms of flash.
Yeah.
Ooh, spicy take, I said it.
Hot take.
So
hot take.
But that one is, again, just a very stalwart workhorse, kick-ass right now. And we're starting to find, even though the Vanish was designed for the Mark 18 as well, it's kind of finding a better home on the longer rifles.
Absolutely.
So lighter weight, titanium, grade 5 titanium, it's got a 800-degree heat rating on it. Our Vanish is actually full auto rated, but we're finding like 13.5s, 14.5, or 13.7s, 14.5s, a bit longer. Guys are wanting a lighter can, and the trade-off again, like between Inconel and titanium, is the weight. So Inconel being a much more dense material that, you kind of have to pick and choose, and we've all probably heard that line, there's no free lunch with suppressors.
Absolutely.
So do you want the ultra quiet? Do you want it lighter? Do you want it shorter? Do you want it ultra durable? So really kind of, you got to pick the best of the worlds that you want and find the one that matches that. But we also have the LE556. That one kind of floats under the radar. We use that one a lot for law enforcement sales. So when departments outfit their patrol rifles, things like that, we're getting a lot more departments that are kind of seeing the light now with new, younger chiefs saying, hey, a suppressor is really just armor. Like, it's not a tactical novelty. It's not Hollywood quiet. It's not going to be out here shooting dogs at night or shooting out street lights. It's how do we protect our guys' hearing? How do we protect guys against the concussive blast, TBIs, those micro traumas over and over again? And they're starting to realize, like, hey, this is like having an extra vest or a helmet, or this is new technology. It's like buying a red dot. So those old chiefs that say, hey, we had iron sights when I came up and we've always done well with them. Well, get with the time, chief. So we do that one again a lot in law enforcement, but getting a lot of demand right now on the civilian side with it because guys want the simplicity of it. It is a 1/2 by 28 direct thread only, just goes straight on the barrel. You don't need an adapter. You don't need a QD system. You don't need any of that BS. Just take your flash hider off, take the crush washer off, screw it on. give it a good ugga-dugga, and it's going to live on the rifle. And that's another spicy take I'll throw out there. QD systems and all that BS is a bunch of horse shit sold to us by big suppressor to sell us more parts and to get us locked into their ecosystem. So, you know, how many suppressor companies from 10 years ago, you got that sunk cost fallacy of, oh, I've got X company's mounting system on my rifles. Well, I don't want to go buy something different because it won't work with this. Go pay this gunsmith, cut that bitch off, and then just put a direct thread on it and call it a day.
One of the last things that we actually talk about is the suppression that actual product offers, right? How big is it? How long is it? What material is it made out of? What firearm are you trying to put it on? And how are you using that firearm? Because if all you're doing is shooting at the range and you have a 16-inch barrel, you're probably actually going to like what the Vanish has to offer, because it is that grade 5 titanium. With that longer, heavier barrel, it's going to be significantly lighter. If you're not shooting at night, so what if it sparks and flashes? You're not going to notice it on a sunny day like today. If you do shoot FRT full auto, if you do have shorter barrels, if you want that extreme durability, if you shoot at night, well, 718 Inconel might make a lot of sense. That Inconel suppressor probably has a better tone, a more pleasant tone to it, but it's really much more important to get the suppressor that matches the attributes, the application that customer is actually looking for. And again, you have several different options in the Exigent line. They're all high performing and have those different physical characteristics to meet the demand of the customer and their end application.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said a funny hot take on that one, the tone. Everybody talks about tone, but nobody can define tone.
Absolutely.
And what you hear as a tone might be a different sound to me as what I hear as a tone. So when somebody says, oh, it's got a good tone, and then somebody else shoots the can, like, man, it didn't sound that good. But we all can kind of describe quote unquote tone. You know, how does it sound? Is it a high pitched crack? Is it a ring to it? Is it a thunk? Is it a deep sound to it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually something that we kind of harped on and focused on, especially with the fire team, was how to get it to be a low thud. We really focused that on the fire team, was how do we get that down by doing things like on the interior with the blast chamber. You've looked inside one, you see how it's dimpled like a golf ball. Well, attenuating the metal, taking the tuning fork frequency out of it, taking ways just to, again, soften that sound as the vibration goes through the suppressor. Mm-hmm. That was a big point, that, you know, maybe it is 1 dB louder than another company's, but if it sounds better, you know, to the human ear, then those lower frequencies are going to sound a lot better, a lot more pleasant while you're shooting.
Really cool stuff. Printing, designing in computer software has really elevated the suppressor game. If you haven't tried something that's additively manufactured yet, you really have to, because it can do everything that some of your legacy suppressors could do in individual suppressors, but all in one single unit. And you can get it in different materials as well. But you don't just have suppressors out here today. We've got some pretty cool rifles.
Heck yeah. These suppressors, our suppressors, have organically paired extremely well with Sons of Liberty rifles. Mm-hmm. So Sons of Liberty obviously won SOCOM contract with the Mark I rifle. They've been making rifles for a while now too, prior to that. The fire team, for whatever reason, just took off, and I hate to say it, but social media, YouTube, things like that, those influencers picked it up. Mm-hmm. We have never paid for a YouTube review, never paid for advertisement or anything of that nature, and never will, because I'm a cheap bastard. I won't even pay for the little blue check mark on Instagram, because screw that. I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
But that took off, and you know, we wound up making contact with Sons of Liberty. We started exchanging emails, talking back and forth. Sent them some cans, they sent us some rifles, and was extremely impressed with the rifles. So we've got the LE556 paired up on the EX03. Have a lot of law enforcement that have been picking that up as a patrol rifle now. And then with the L89 over here, I want to call this one, you know, and anything I say is not a direct reflection of Sons of Liberty, so let me go ahead and qualify that real quick. You know, L89, this is kind of their mutt, almost like their hybrid that they can do all kinds of different configurations with. So we just did a collab package on some L89s that were tricked out to be Mark Is. So they had the Mark I barrel, they had trigger, they had ambi-safeties, they had all these other things to it, but they didn't have some of the whistles like scalloped rails or the texturing on the grip and a few other things like that, but still getting a high level of performance out of it. But I did want to talk about the Mark I pretty significantly. The Sons, that rifle comes with a carbine stock from Magpul. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. not a perfect rifle in my opinion because I don't like that stock. So I immediately swapped it out, put a B5 SOP mod on there, better cheek well for me, bigger, fatter on that. But when you start moving down it, you start to notice a lot of the little features. You start noticing a lot of the little nuances that, most untrained eyes or, people that don't shoot regularly wouldn't notice. So on that charging handle, it's actually got a flange on the back. Well, that flange helps to direct gas mitigation. So getting it from not having blowback directly into the operator's face. But you start moving forward too, you've got Badger safety. 45 degree, 90 degree, interchangeable. So if you want to make it a 45 throw, flip it around. Or if you like the 90 throw, keep it the way it is. And then you get to the mag or the bolt carrier release, big overcharged panel on that. So you've got two-sided on that one. And then obviously them shooting a bunch, so I took the bolt out of it. They've got the fence around it. So how many times have you hit, if you're sling carrying,
Absolutely.
start to drop bolts, things like that, or get it out of battery. But they do, what I really like is with the receiver, everything on that, they've got the trigger guard integrated into it. So you're not having to put another piece in there. And I always get the little hot spots with, inserts where you got kind of that sharp edge. And talking to Sons of Liberty, they were telling me like, hey, we really focus on smoothing everything out so you don't get hot spots in a lot of places. So when you're running all day on the range or training and things like that, you're not chewing your hands up in the process. Moving forward to the trigger on that, they've got a 4.5 pound two-stage trigger. So it's 2.5 pounds on the first stage, 2 pounds on the second. Very sharp, crisp, clean break. I mean, it's like breaking a glass rod on it. And then you move on to the handguard. That's really one of their main features that a lot of people notice first is a laser texture and grip on that. That, according to them, takes about 4 hours to make that. But they've got the scalloped pick rail on that too. So for when you're running wires, you're not cutting wires, chewing them up as well too, or you'll be able to sink it in there and be able to keep a really low profile so you're not hanging wires and what have you. But one of the big things as well is the barrel. So they run a P3, and I'm butcher this word every time. I'll call it polygonal, but it's polygonal. Polygonal barrel. Well, what is a P3 polygonal barrel? Rounded edges on the rifling, so it's better gas seal for the bullet, better spin, better twist, better accuracy. And they run contra to the industry with that with a 5/8 by 24 thread pitch on the end of the barrel. Well, why did they do that? When you get a 1/2 by 28, that's a lot of meat to take out of that barrel for that smaller diameter on it. Over time, that can actually start to flex. So as the more you shoot the gun, the more you shoot the barrel in the barrel life, it'll start to open. Now you have increased point of impact shift. You start getting changes in your groupings and everything else. Whereas 5/8 preserves the barrel life for a lot longer, preserves the accuracy for it. And really at the heart of it too is their bolt carrier group. So they've got an MP3 bolt carrier group, which, I mean, y'all are old enough to remember like MP3 was kind of hot way back when, but then it disappeared for a while. Well, it's really hard to do MP3 right. And I think they nailed it with this, but MP3 is a nickel infusion into the actual metal itself. So Teflon infused particles into that. The question is, well, what does all that do? See how easy all that carbon wiped off?
Absolutely.
So you're not having to really scrub out carbon. You don't have to deep clean the thing and everything. You've got basically self-lubricating bolt right there that when you're running suppressed, you're able to clean that carbon out of there very quickly, very easily. So it's a very smooth shooting bolt carrier group. So just a lot of those little nuances and everything, but the fire team matching up with that perfectly.
Yeah.
So talking about that rifle, really leaning into it is, one of my big points that I try to tell people is like, get the can that goes with a rifle, get something that mates up with it well. Fire team just did that. And that was not by design because we had done the 10.3 barrel with a Mark 18, but for whatever reason, it just ran flawlessly with a Mark 1. But that kind of thing goes into too, like the Vanish does a great job on the L89 and the LE556 does a great job on the EXO, being able to have that kind of cross compatibility. So appreciate the Sons for making a good rifle that, might cover up some of our shortcomings if we, have some flaws in there or anything like that. So again, just, it's one of those, when you're buying the suppressor, the whole thing needs to be a holistic package.
Absolutely.
Just needs to be, try to get it as dialed in. And, I hate to say it too, but you can read about it all day online, but realistically, go shoot it, find a range day or find a store like Battlehawk that's knowledgeable on what they do and actually are shooters, and go say, hey, is this going to work well with this? Is it not going to work well with this? Which, that actually brings up another point. The Sons Mark 1 comes with a Huxworks muzzle device. I always kind of point this one out. Well, why is that going clockwise with the tines and everything? The rifling of the barrel is going clockwise. That slight twist and the bullet twist and everything actually causes gas to turn clockwise with it.
Yeah.
So as it's coming out, it's following the path of that, getting off the bore line, getting into the flow pass, getting laterally inside the suppressor. Great job on being a mounting system for a suppressor and helping to redirect gas. Not great on flash suppression. Best flash hider, counterclockwise helical. And I tell that story every time because the Picatinny Arsenal 240 machine gun flash hider, you remember the old four-prong ones? That's the best flash hider out there because it goes counterclockwise to the way the gas is turning, so it's a more gradual introduction into the environment where it hits oxygen and then starts to pop and the flash and everything.
Yeah.
But that is something too a lot of people ask about this. Is the FireTeam compatible with this? Yes, it is. You do need to either get Huck's QD adapter on that, if you can find them, and it will mate flash hider. It's got enough clearance inside the baffle chamber to be able to handle that. And going back again to QD stuff on that, with the QD systems, you are introducing a whole new variable into it of the flow pass and how the gas is immediately having that uncorking pressure and where it's going to. The more you start jamming into a blast chamber, more it's going to affect that. So when you jam that big dead air chemo muzzle device, yeah, it's going to have different performance now, which again is why I'm personally just like direct thread. I like my cans just to live on the rifle, never take them off or change them around. And you know, when's the last time somebody actually QD'd a can and threw it on another rifle? You know, you're probably going to burn your hand in the process, but that's one too that also people ask, you know, what's your preferred QD system? We typically say plan B, like Rear Manufacturing is a great system on that. Super simple, inexpensive, positive lockup. You've got, you know, 2 points of contact between the mating surfaces and the thread system. So less chance of the can walking off. And it's one of those that you can easily put it on real quick, hand tight, and it takes a little bit extra oomph just to pop it off there. So you got a good seal on it, you got a good carbon seal.
Yeah. That's kind of Exigent in a nutshell. Again, overbuilt, under budget, additive manufactured, lots of different materials, different size suppressors, but for specific applications. So why don't we take a little bit of time, see what these cans are all about, see what these suns are all about, play with some of these prototypes that we have out here today, see what some of the, you know, sneak peek behind the curtain, some of the new stuff coming soon, because Exigent is not resting on the product that they already have. They are constantly pushing forward, trying to give you even better product for the money. So why don't we have a little bit of fun?
I'm down for it. Let's shoot some things.
All right, everyone. So that was a heck of a lot of fun. Really appreciate you coming out today, Evan. Kind of just wrapping up what we talked about. So those Exigent Defense suppressors, purpose-built, overbuilt, under budget. Again, everyone, try to shop those suppressors for your actual application. What host firearm is it going on? Speak to someone who's knowledgeable. Definitely check out Exigent Defense. The Point Man 9, so something we haven't talked about yet. You also do 9mm suppressors. 718 Inconel, very unique in the 9mm suppressor realm. That sounds fantastic. One of the better sounding 9mm suppressors I've ever heard. Having that on an SP5, MP5 with the roller blade system, very, very soft shooting and also very quiet. So I like that quite a bit. Evan, what do you think your favorite suppressor is that you've ever made?
So we're gonna be, well, the next one.
The next one.
The next one will be my favorite.
Never resting on the work you've already done, constantly improving. Again, really appreciate you coming out today, Evan. The suppressors are fantastic. We've really enjoyed having you out today. The suppressors out that we've already had, the ones in the shop that we already have. Looking forward to the future and some of those new products that we got to play with a little bit today. There's one in there that really speaks to me. So the future is bright. If you like this style of content, make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. We've got X, we've got Instagram. We've got all the fun stuff, constantly posting cool pictures and videos. Make sure you check out Exigent Defense. They've got a ton of really fun social media too. Evan will jump in there and talk a little bit of trash to you if you don't like his stuff, or even if you do. He's a super nice guy.
No one's
depending on who
safe.
you ask.
No one is safe.
But we really appreciate all of you guys watching today. Again, thank you so much for coming out today, Evan. It was a pleasure to have you with us.
Also, Evan,
Yeah.
well done.
Doctor.
Well done.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it, bud.
Yep. Thanks for watching, everybody.